No one imagined that that young woman, so discreet and shy, carried a secret that would change everything that day. Anne was a girl like many others, at least at first glance. Her steps were silent, her gaze restrained. She went unnoticed through the school hallways, shrouded in simplicity, her modest clothing revealing the daily struggle of a family barely scraping by. Few stopped to notice her presence, and when they did, it was often with a mixture of indifference or even disdain. At that public school, where the sound of voices mingled with laughter and whispers, Anna seemed invisible. She didn't have the latest sneakers, the latest cell phones, or the latest trending clothes. And perhaps that's what made her an easy target. Because in a place where differences appear as scars, poverty became a constant shadow for Anna, a reason for exclusion and humiliation. But what no one knew, not even those who mocked her, was that Anna harbored something far deeper and more powerful than any accessory or status. There was a quiet strength within her, forged by years of suffering and hope, that was about to surface in a way no one could have predicted. That morning, as the sun still struggled to break through the gray clouds that shrouded the city, Anna walked into school carrying more than just an old backpack. She carried with her a world of experiences, hidden tears and stifled dreams, but also a flame of courage that only those who know true pain can cultivate. The hallways vibrated with the energy of conversation and student activity, but for Anna, the environment was an invisible minefield. With every step, she felt the weight of the sidelong glances, the low voices that spoke of her, the jokes that circulated. It was a daily battle against invisibility, against prejudice masquerading as ignorance. And on that particular day, things began to take a different turn. A group of colleagues who until then had only exchanged disguised smiles decided to turn their words into sharp blades. The reason? The worn clothes, the messy hair, the manner too simple to please. The words came swiftly and cruelly, piercing Anna's heart like knives. The silence she'd carried for so long began to crack under the weight of public humiliation. She tried to keep her head high, ignore the insults, but the pain was real intense and suffocating. What most didn't know was that this moment represented more than an attack on her appearance. It was an attempt to erase her entire existence, to diminish her worth. In the midst of that whirlwind of disrespect, Anna felt the urge to disappear, to vanish forever from that place where injustice seemed to reign. But it was just when all seemed lost, when despair threatened to take over, that something unexpected happened. The living room door opened with a soft bang, and a powerful presence filled the space. It was his grandmother, a woman with a steady gaze and a determined expression, who seemed to carry within her the weight of a history few knew. Beside her were two men in suits, not just lawyers, but representatives of a truth no one there was prepared to face. The lady's arrival instantly changed the atmosphere. The hubbub stopped, eyes shifted, and silence fell like a warning. No one knew what to expect, but they sensed something big was about to happen. The secret Anna had been keeping, hidden until then, was beginning to emerge like a shadow growing in the darkness, ready to transform everyone's lives. And what seemed like just another ordinary day at school became the stage for a story of resilience, courage, and justice. A story that would reveal not only the valor of that young woman, but the strength of those who fight against oppression and prejudice. But what exactly were Anna and her grandmother carrying? What powerful secret could change the game overnight? And how could the presence of that imposing woman, accompanied by lawyers, make all the difference? These questions still hung in the air as the first steps of that transformation began to unfold. Anna was no longer just a shy, invisible girl. She was about to show that within her lay a strength capable of challenging what seemed immutable. And that strength was not only in her voice, but in those who loved her and were ready to fight by her side. What would you do if you were in her shoes? How would you react if you saw injustice repeat itself every day until someone decided to say enough? This is a story that goes beyond bullying, beyond poverty. It's a tale of dignity, of love, and of the fight to ensure that no one else has to go through what Anna went through. Get ready to find out what happened on the day that changed everything. Anna was 16 years old and lived with her grandmother in a humble neighborhood where daily life was marked by hardships few could understand. The small house with weathered walls held stories of struggle, sacrifice, and unconditional love that sustained the family. Her grandmother, a strong and determined woman, was Anna's foundation, her safe haven amid life's storms. Every day, Anna faced a seemingly endless journey to public school, an institution where inequalities were evident in every glance, in every whispered comment in the hallways. It was a world that didn't welcome her kindly, but one she braved, even when the weight of invisibility and prejudice seemed to crush her. At school, Anna wasn't just another student. She was the constant target of critical looks, of malicious comments that hurt more than any words could explain. Her simple clothes, her humble origins all served as reasons for some to feel superior and treat her with indifference or even contempt. It was a daily battle to keep her head held high, to keep the feeling of despair from taking over. But despite everything, Anna carried within her a silent hope. A hope that this wasn't her final destination, that beyond the difficulties there was a path that would lead her to better days where dignity and respect wouldn't be privileges but earned rights. This hope was what kept her going, even in moments when all seemed lost. And it was this hope that kept her going to school, even when the humiliation grew more intense, when the voices judging her seemed louder and crueler. Anna believed that somehow her story could be different, that her life could be written with chapters of overcoming and victory. But on that particular day, something began to change. The jokes, which had previously gone almost unnoticed, became direct attacks, open wounds in her young soul. The already hostile environment became a battlefield where Anna felt isolated and vulnerable. The feeling of injustice grew with each passing moment, as if the world around her conspired to drown out her voice. And it was at that moment when it seemed the light was fading that an unexpected presence entered the scene. A woman, firm and determined, with eyes that reflected a history of struggle and courage. At her side, two figures who exuded authority and security. They weren't just ordinary visitors, they were Anna's hope, embodied in people willing to change the course of her story. The arrival of that woman and the lawyers was not just an act of protection, but the beginning of a profound transformation. A silent warning that injustice would not go unpunished, that Anna would no longer be alone in facing the challenges life imposed. But what exactly had they come to do? What secret were this shy young girl and her grandmother keeping? How could this twist of fate forever change Anna's fate and those who underestimated her? These questions begin to surface, heightening the tension, generating a curiosity that's almost impossible to ignore. Because when the unexpected invades the everyday, everything can change in an instant, and the story that seemed familiar transforms into something new, powerful, and inspiring. You're about to discover how a grandmother's courage and a granddaughter's determination challenged silence and injustice. A story that reminds us that even in the darkest moments, hope can be the light that guides us. Stay with me for the next chapter of this journey that goes beyond the obvious, and prepare to be thrilled with what's to come. But everything changed when, during recess, something Anna had already feared began to happen. Some students who had previously ignored her began to mock her, and it wasn't just an innocent joke, it was a cruel and cold humiliation. They pointed out her old clothes, her simple way of speaking, and used every detail to turn her difference into a source of mockery. The words flew fast, sharp, cutting like knives that cut deep. "Look at that, it looks like Anna came straight from the past." Giggles could be heard behind her back. Others whispered, exchanged glances, and looked at her as if she were a stranger, someone who shouldn't be there, in that space that for them was only for the best. Each laugh was a mark, each comment an invisible weight on Anna's chest. She tried to ignore it. He looked down, clenched his fists, and took a deep breath. He wanted to hide, to disappear from that place where the pain seemed to scream so loudly. But the humiliation didn't stop there. What deepened the wound was something even harder to accept. Even a teacher joined in the mockery. Yes, someone who should have protected, who should have upheld the respect and dignity of the students, turned on Anna in that instant. His words, harsh and full of contempt, echoed through the halls like a cruel sentence. "If you don't fit in, maybe you shouldn't be here," he said, his tone leaving no doubt as to his judgment. At that moment, Anna's world seemed to collapse. What was already difficult became almost unbearable. The injustice, which had previously seemed distant, materialized in the form of accusatory looks, cruel laughter, and a crushing loneliness. She felt despair grow, the urge to run away, to disappear, to make it all end. But inside her, something stronger than the pain began to awaken. A silent will to resist this storm of prejudice and contempt. Because Anna knew it wasn't just her clothes or her way of speaking, it was her dignity, her worth as a person that was under attack. And it was at that moment when all seemed lost that something unexpected happened. That moment of humiliation that seemed eternal was interrupted by a firm and imposing presence. The living room door opened, and with determined steps, Anna's grandmother entered, accompanied by two figures that symbolized something much greater: justice and protection. The reaction was immediate. Silence fell, the laughter ceased, and eyes shifted. The presence of that strong woman and those men in suits was like a warning. From that moment on, things would never be the same again. But what would she do? How could she change what seemed such a difficult situation? And what did lawyers have to do with all this? These questions hang in the air, creating an atmosphere of suspense and anticipation. Because when injustice is faced with courage, history can turn around, and you'll see how this turnaround will transform not only Anna's life, but everyone around her. Stay tuned for the next chapter, where this unexpected force will show that the fight for respect and dignity can begin in the most unlikely places, and that true power lies with those who refuse to be silenced. Ana's grandmother wasn't just an ordinary lady. Quite the opposite, her gaze carried the story of a lifetime marked by battles, challenges, and a strength few could grasp at first glance. She wasn't just a family matriarch. She was a silent warrior who had faced what many called the impossible and overcome. That morning, when the cruel words still echoed through the school hallway and an uncomfortable silence filled the classroom, Ana's grandmother walked through that door with the determination of someone who had been through much worse. She wasn't there to ask, she was there to demand, to ensure that her granddaughter's suffering, which for so long had been invisible to many, ended that instant. With documents tightly clutched in her hands, she stood before the school officials, making it clear that she would no longer tolerate any form of humiliation or injustice against Ana. Every word she spoke carried weight, not only because of her decisive tone, but because it represented the profound love of a grandmother who understood the value of human dignity. She spoke not only for Ana, but for all the children and young people who, like her granddaughter, live amid prejudice and exclusion. Her voice was a cry against silence, a call for justice to be served, not just as a formality, but as an act of respect for life and hope. At that moment, something shifted in the school's atmosphere. The heavy air of humiliation gave way to a palpable tension, because everyone there understood that this was not someone to be ignored. She was the embodiment of the fight against injustice, a force come to challenge what many considered normal. But the arrival of Ana's grandmother and her lawyers wasn't just a confrontation. It was a promise that things could be different, that even in the most difficult situations, love and courage can create a path to redemption and change. And then the big question arises: how would the school and those who participated in that humiliation react to that ruling? Would justice ultimately prevail? Or would prejudice continue to lurk in the shadows of everyday life? This tension, this doubt is what keeps our hearts tight, our eyes attentive, because we know that the most decisive moment is yet to come. What will happen when the weight of the truth is laid on the table? How will Ana feel seeing her grandmother fight for her so powerfully? And what will this episode teach us all about courage, respect, and the value of dignity? Brace yourself, because the story isn't over yet. In fact, it's just beginning to reveal its most thrilling chapter. A twist that will shake not only Ana, but everyone who believes that good can conquer evil, that justice can be served, and that love is the greatest weapon against injustice. Stay with me to discover the outcome of this fight, which goes beyond school, beyond words. It's a battle for the respect and hope we all deserve. That day, Ana learned something that goes far beyond words. She learned that dignity is an inalienable right, a flame that no one, no matter how cruel, can extinguish. That even when the world seems determined to silence you, there is something within you that remains invincible. The value of being who you are, the right to be respected and treated with humanity. She understood that family love is the greatest strength against prejudice, the armor that protects against the onslaught of injustice. Her grandmother's firm and resolute presence was not only an act of protection, but a life lesson, a clear demonstration that we are not alone, even when we feel invisible. But behind this personal victory lies a painful and disturbing question. How many other Annas still walk the same corridors of life, bearing the weight of silence, humiliation, and exclusion? How many people suffer amid indifference, waiting for someone to notice their pain and reach out? And what's more, how often do we, in our hectic routines, close our eyes to these injustices? How many times do we pass and choose not to see, not to listen, not to act? Anna's story challenges us to look beyond the obvious, to recognize that bullying, prejudice, and exclusion are deep wounds that leave invisible but permanent scars. This story is a call for each of us to make a difference, to be the voice of those who have been silenced, so that we can transform silence into words, fear into courage, injustice into struggle. If you were moved by Anna's journey today, I invite you to reflect. What can we do so that no other Anna has to go through this again? How can we, together, create a world where dignity is respected and love is the answer to hate? Leave your opinion in the comments. Have you ever witnessed or experienced a similar situation? How did you react? Your experience can help others feel less alone and stronger to face their own challenges. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like it so more people can see it and be inspired. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now so you don't miss the next stories that bring hope, reflection, and strength to our community.